So in this session of Watercolor 2, we will be working with darks. And as you can see here on my drawing board, I have several fruits and vegetables that fall into the dark category. The eggplant, some blackberries, some blueberries, and this lovely fig. Now in all cases, we will be using botanical gray for our shadows. These are such dark subjects, they're going to require some deep shadows. And all the exercises you did for painting white shadows, you can apply to painting these dark shadows because the mixes are the same, it's just that the concentrations will be different. Now, the important thing to realize, and I'm sorry I don't have any flowers to show you, but the important thing to realize is that there are a lot of underlying colors in these specimens, and those colors are important to the actual painting of the subject. You don't want to paint this subject just with botanical gray. For instance, look at this fig. You can see there are all kinds of colors in this fig. You can see that there's some yellow in here and then some reds. There are also, interestingly enough, some greens aside from the stem. And these are things that need to be underpainted. You can probably see there are also these little spots on this fig that are kind of a yellowy brown color or a tan color that have to be included in the painting. If you're going to do blueberries, if you look at this blueberry, you can see there, in this case, there's a lot of very light areas, and it's the contrast between the light areas and the dark areas that give you the impression that this berry is a dark berry. There's also some green in the center of this blueberry. Let's take another one. Again, you can see there's probably a little red along the edges of this, and then it's overlaid with your botanical gray or a mix of botanical gray and blue, probably in this case an ultramarine blue, in order to get those nice blueberry colors. What you see on the surface here is some of this is called bloom, which is like this white, powdery looking surface, even though it doesn't really exist. It's as a powdery surface, it just has that appearance. So there's a way of painting that in order to achieve that. You'll see that on some plums as well. Now this eggplant has enormous amounts of color. The highlight here is very bright because this is a very shiny surface. But if you look around the edge of that highlight, you will see blue, you might see some green. Underneath here, you'll probably see some orange or some red. The secondary highlight, which is on this edge here, is quite blue. And then you have this violet color that is underlaid by whatever is reflecting off the surface on which it's standing. And then, of course, you have these greens, some of which are quite dark, that add to the interest of this subject. In the case of the blackberries, you can see these are very dark pockets and very bright highlights. And then, of course, there are little hairs that come off of the fruit that you need to also paint. And we'll talk about how to achieve those if you decide you want to paint some blackberries. So that's a story painting these dark colors.